The screen door slammed like a gunshot in the dead of night, shattering the fragile peace of our clapboard house in coastal Maine. "Alex, what the hell is this?" Dad's voice cracked through the darkness, raw and trembling, as he hurled my laptop onto the kitchen table, the glow of illicit thumbnails spilling across the linoleum like spilled blood. In that frozen heartbeat, I knew my world had cracked open. 18 years of careful hiding, gone in a single, unforgiving click. I bolted upright in bed, heart hammering against my ribs, the sheets twisting around me like accusations. The house smelled of salt air and regret, the kind that clung to our fishing nets out back. Downstairs, the argument was already a storm. Mom's hushed pleas, Dad's guttural accusations, porn, gay porn, in my house, and my own silence screaming louder than words. By morning, the truth I'd buried deeper than Uncle Ray's ashes off Bar Harbor had clawed its way out, demanding air. But it wasn't just my secret unraveling. It was the family's, a tangled knot of half-truths and stolen glances that would drag us all under. The fog rolled in thick off the Atlantic that September morning, blanketing our little slice of down East Maine in a gray shroud that matched the ache in my chest. I'd always loved the fog, how it softened the jagged rocks, made the world feel less exposed. But today, it felt like a noose, tightening as I slipped out the back door, backpack slung over one shoulder, pretending to head to my shift at the harbor cannery. Anything to avoid the wreckage inside. Dad, Brian, to everyone else in town, the stoic lobsterman with calloused hands and a perpetual squint from staring down storms, hadn't slept. I'd heard him pacing the creaky floorboards until dawn, his boots thudding like accusations. Mom, ever the peacemaker with her flour-dusted aprons and soft southern drawl from her Georgia roots, had tried to broker a truce over burnt toast and weak coffee. "Brian, honey, he's our boy. We talked this out." But Dad's eyes, red-rimmed and furious, fixed on me like I was a stranger. "Talk? What do you say to that? Filth on his machine." I hadn't said a word. Couldn't. The videos weren't even the half of it, they were just the spark. The real fire was Kevin, the lanky artist from Portland who'd crashed into my life like a rogue wave last summer. We'd met at the county fair, him sketching caricatures under the Ferris wheel lights, me nursing a stolen beer and nursing a crush I'd never named. One awkward hello turned into late-night texts, then stolen kisses in the dunes behind the lighthouse. Kevin, with his ink-stained fingers and laugh like summer thunder, had made me feel seen for the first time. Not the dutiful son, the straight-A kid gunning for a scholarship to UMaine, but Alex, the one who dreamed in colors Dad called frivolous. Now, as I trudged along the pebble-strewn path to the harbor, the weight of it all pressed down. My phone buzzed in my pocket. "Kevin, missed you last night. Everything okay?" I typed back a lie, "Yeah, just family stuff. See you soon?" But soon felt impossible. Dad's discovery had ripped the veil, and I could already feel the town's whispers starting, carried on the wind like chum to sharks. Ellsworth was small. Secrets here fermented faster than aloes in the sun. The cannery loomed ahead, a rusting behemoth of corrugated metal and fish guts, where men like Dad had toiled for generations. I clocked in, nodding to old Mr. Harlan, who eyed me with that pitying squint. "Heard your pa's in a mood. Rough seas." I muttered something noncommittal and dove into the conveyor line, the rhythmic slap of filleted haddock drowning out my thoughts. But they wouldn't stay down. What if Dad told Uncle Mike? Or worse, posted it on the community board at the VFW? No, that wasn't him. Brian Caldwell was private to a fault, the man who'd buried his own father without a tear, just a nod to the sea. By lunch, the fog had lifted enough to reveal the bay's choppy blue, dotted with buoys like forgotten regrets. I ate my sandwich on the pier, feet dangling over the edge, when my phone buzzed again. "Not Kevin this time, Mom. Come home after shift. We need to talk. Love you. Love you." Those words, so easy for her, felt like shards now. I pocketed the phone and stared at the horizon, where the water met sky in a hazy promise. That's when I saw him. Kevin, pedaling up on his beat-up beach cruiser, his red beanie a beacon against the muted world. "Alex!" He skidded to a stop, chaining the bike to a piling, his breath coming in excited puffs. God, he was beautiful, freckles across his nose like constellations, eyes the color of driftwood. I couldn't wait. You sounded off. He dropped down beside me, our shoulders brushing, and for a second, the world righted itself. His hand found mine, hidden from view, fingers interlacing like they'd been waiting lifetimes. I wanted to spill it all, the confrontation, the shame twisting in my gut like a bad catch. But instead, I leaned into him, inhaling the scent of turpentine and sea salt. Dad found some stuff on my laptop. Videos. The word hung there ugly and exposed. Kevin pulled back, concern etching his face. Shit. How bad? Bad enough he thinks I'm possessed or something. I forced a laugh, but it came out brittle. He's from a different time, you know? The kind where faggot was just playground talk, not a badge. Hey! Kevin cupped my chin, turning my face to his. His gaze was steady, the kind that anchored you in a squall. You're not wrong for feeling what you feel, and neither is he deep down. Give it time. He kissed me then, soft and sure, right there on the pier with the gulls wheeling overhead. It was reckless, but in that moment it felt like defiance. Like claiming a piece of myself before the tide pulled it away. We lingered until my break ended, his sketches fluttering in the breeze, portraits of us, imagined futures in charcoal and hope. As he rode off, promising to text later, I watched him go, a pang of something deeper than fear settling in. Love? Maybe. But whatever it was mine, and I'd fight like hell to keep it. Back home that evening, the house felt smaller, the walls closing in with unspoken words. Mom was in the kitchen, kneading dough for her famous blueberry pie, the one that won ribbons at the fair. Sit, sugar, she said, flowering a chair like it was a peace offering. Dad was out back, mending traps by the shed light, his silhouette a shadow against the dusk. She slid a plate over, pie still warm, steam curling up like ghosts. Your daddy's huttin', Alex? Not just 'cause of what he saw. Complicated. Her eyes, the same hazel as mine, flickered with something old and weary. He loves you. We both do. But this town's got claws, and he's scared they'll tear into you like they did him once. Like they did him? I echoed, fork pausing midair. Mom never talked family history. It was all tall tales of Dad's glory days hauling lobster pots with Grandpa. She sighed, wiping her hands on her apron. Long story, darlin'. For another night. Just promise me you'll hear him out tomorrow. No runnin'. I nodded, but as I escaped to my room, the laptop mocking me from the desk, doubt gnawed. Hear him out? What if his words were the kind that cut deepest? I texted Kevin a heart emoji, our secret code, and curled under the covers. Outside, the foghorn moaned, a low warning from the deep. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with buoys and buoys and buried truths. The next day dawned crisp, the kind of autumn blue that made Maine feel eternal. I woke to the smell of bacon, Mom's olive branch extended. Dad was at the table, newspaper spread like a shield, but he looked up when I entered. Morning, he grunted, voice gravelly from lack of sleep. Morning. I poured coffee, black as the bay at midnight, and sat across from him. The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. Finally, he folded the paper, hands folding over it like prayer. Alex, about last night. I overreacted. Shouldn't have gone through your things. But seeing that, it hit me hard. You're my son. I thought I knew you. You do? I said, throat tight. Mostly, but there's parts. New parts. I'm gay, Dad. It's not a phase. It's me. The word landed like a stone in still water. His face worked, jaw clenching, then softening in a way I'd never seen. Gay. He tested it like a foreign word. Christ. In this family. He trailed off, staring at his mug as if answers swam in the dregs. What about this family? I pressed, heart pounding. Mom hovered in the doorway, silent witness. Dad stood abruptly, chair scraping. Not now. Traps need checking. We'll talk later. He grabbed his jacket, the door banging behind him. Mom squeezed my shoulder, but the ache lingered. Later. Always later in the Caldwell house. School that afternoon was a blur, AP Lit, where Ms. Hargrove droned on about Hawthorne's secrets. Irony not lost on me. I spotted Kevin in the hall after, leaning against his locker with that easy grin. "Survived the night?" he asked, bumping my fist like it was nothing, but his eyes searched mine. "Barely, Dad's processing." We walked to the parking lot, fall leaves crunching underfoot, the air sharp with wood smoke. "Want to get out of here? Drive to Acadia? Clear your head." Kevin's truck was a '92 Ford, battered but faithful, stuffed with canvases and dreams. I hesitated, homework, chores, but the pull was magnetic. "Yeah, let's go." The road to Acadia wound through birch groves turning gold. Radio humming indie folk that spoke of lost loves and found roads. Kevin drove with one hand on the wheel, the other tracing patterns on my knee, sparks jumping at each touch. "Tell me everything," he said, voice soft over the engine rumble. So I did. The slam of the door, the glow of the screen, Dad's broken voice. Kevin listened, nodding, his thumb stroking soothing circles. "Sounds like he's scared for you, not of you. My folks were the same. Mom cried for a week. Dad quoted Bible verses. But they came around. Love does that. Love." The word slipped out, heavy with unspoken questions. Was that what this was? The way his presence quieted my storms. How his sketches captured the boy I wanted to be. He glanced over, smile crooked. "Yeah, love." Parked at Sand Beach, waves crashing like applause, he pulled me close. Our kiss deepened, hands exploring with the urgency of borrowed time. The ocean's roar drowning our gasps. It was more than heat. It was home. We stayed until sunset painted the cliffs in fire, driving back with windows down, wind whipping our secrets into the ether. Dropping me at the end of the drive. "Can't risk Dad spotting the truck." Kevin lingered. "Call me if it gets heavy. I'm here, Alex. All in." Inside, the house was quiet, dinner cold on the stove. A note from Mom. "At bingo with the ladies. Dad's in the shed." I found him there, surrounded by coils of rope and buoys, a half-empty bottle of Jameson at his elbow. "Sit," he said, not looking up from splicing line. I perched on a crate, the air thick with tar and tension. "Alex, I ain't good at this. Words, feelings, they tangle like bad pots." He paused, knife flashing in the lantern light. "But I remember bein' your age. Summers in Portland, workin' the docks. Met a fella. Kevin." My breath caught. "Kevin? No coincidence." "Not like that," he added quickly, but his ears pinked. "Just a friend. Taught me to see things different. City boy full of ideas. We lost touch when I met your mom." The name hung there, a ghost. Kevin. Like my Kevin? Impossible, thousands of Kevins. But Dad's voice softened, laced with something like longing. He made me question things, stuff I buried deep. When I saw those videos, it stirred it all up. Made me think, what if you'd gone through that alone? Like I did. "Dad." I reached out, hand hovering. He clasped it, rough palm engulfing mine. The first touch since childhood that didn't feel obligatory. "We'll figure it. Family does that." His eyes met mine, shadowed but steady. For the first time, the fog between us thinned. That night, I lay awake, piecing it together. Dad's Kevin. A mentor. A mirror? It planted a seed of curiosity. One that would bloom into revelation. But for now, it was enough. Enough to text my Kevin goodnight, to dream of peers and promises. The sea whispering that truths, once unearthed, could heal as much as they hurt. The days blurred into a tentative rhythm after that shed talk, like the tide easing back from high water. Dad didn't mention the videos again, but he left my laptop untouched on the desk, a silent olive branch. Mornings, he'd grunt a pass the salt over eggs. Evenings, he'd toss me a spare trap to mend, our hands brushing in the lamplight without recoil. Mom watched it all with teary smiles, her pies multiplying like offerings to the gods of reconciliation. "See? Progress," she'd whisper, hugging me fierce. But progress in Ellsworth was a slow burn, and the embers of gossip were already glowing. At the cannery, Harlan's sidelong glances sharpened, and whispers followed me down the line. "Caldwell boy? Heard he's one of them now." I kept my head down, filleting cod with mechanical precision, but inside, the isolation gnawed. Kevin was my lifeline. Stolen afternoons in his attic studio above the bait shop, where paint-splattered dropcloths muffled our laughter and the world. Kevin's place was a chaos of creativity. Half-finished oils leaning against walls, the air humming with the faint buzz of his tattoo gun, a side hustle for tourists. We'd collapse onto the sagging futon, bodies fitting like puzzle pieces, his mouth tracing paths that left me breathless. "You're my muse," he'd murmur, sketching me post-coital, charcoal smudging his lips as he kissed the page. Those hours were sanctuary, where being gay wasn't a scandal but a song, harmonious and hot. One crisp October Saturday, with leaves carpeting the roads like confetti, Kevin convinced me to meet his friends. They're chill, Portland artsy types, no judgment. We drove south in his truck, windows fogged from our makeout session at a scenic overlook, arriving at a weathered Victorian in the Old Port District. The party spilled onto the porch, craft beers sweating in coolers, indie rock pulsing low, a mix of tattooed poets and baristas with ironic mustaches. Nerves jangled as Kevin laced our fingers, leading me in. "Guys, this is Alex, the one I've been yapping about." Smiles broke out, hands extended. Jenna with her buzz cut and welcoming grin, Marco trading quips about Maine winters. For the first time, I wasn't the town boy or the fisherman's son. I was Alex, Kevin's boyfriend, enveloped in easy camaraderie. We played cards by candlelight, stories flowing like the IPA, coming out tales that ranged from tearful to triumphant, normalizing the knot in my gut. "You're brave," Jenna said later, clinking bottles with me on the swing. "Small towns? They're petri dishes for bullshit. But look at you owning it." Brave. The word stuck, warming me against the chill. Driving home under a canopy of stars, Kevin's hand on my thigh, I felt it. Possibility. "Thanks for tonight," I said, voice thick. Felt normal. He squeezed. "This is normal, Alex. It's the rest of the world catching up." But back in Ellsworth, normal was a fragile truce. Monday at school, the axe fell. During lunch, Tyler Reese, captain of the hockey team, All-American poster boy, cornered me by the vending machines. "Heard you're batting for the other team now, Caldwell." "That true?" His cronies snickered, a wall of varsity jackets. Heat flooded my face. "None of your business, Ty." But he stepped closer, breath sour with energy drink. "Bet your dad's pissed. Man like Brian raising a queer? Pathetic." The word landed like a slap, echoing Dad's old slurs from bar tales. I shoved past, tray clattering, but the cafeteria fell silent, eyes pinning me like specimens. By afternoon, it had metastasized. Texts from unknowns. Slurs, emojis of flames. I skipped last period, hiding in the art room, where Kevin's ex, Liam, a brooding sculptor with a chip on his shoulder, happened to be finishing a bust. "Rough day," he drawled, chisel pausing. Liam and Kevin had history. A messy breakup over Liam's wandering eyes, but they'd stayed friends, civil as cohabitants in the scene. I vented, words tumbling, Ty, the gossip, the fear it had reached Dad. Liam listened, then set down his tools. "Small minds make big noise. But you're gold." Kevin's smitten. Says you're the real deal. He clapped my shoulder, genuine. "Hang in. Betrayal's coming from where you least expect." Betrayal. The word lodged like a hook. That night, dinner was strained. Dad picked at his haddock, Mom chattering about church bazaar to fill the void. After, I retreated to my room, laptop open to email scholarships, escape routes to bigger worlds. A knock, Dad hovering awkward. "Heard some talk at the co-op. Kids giving you grief?" My stomach dropped. "How?" "Yeah, it's nothing." He rubbed his neck, Adam's apple bobbing. "Ain't nothing. If it's about, I'll handle it." His protectiveness, gruff and fierce, cracked something in me. I hugged him then, impulsive, his flannel rough against my cheek. He stiffened, then patted my back. Proud of you, son, even if I don't get it all. Tears pricked. Love you, Dad. Love you too. He pulled away, clearing his throat. Now, about that Kevin of yours, old Kevin, found a letter in the attic today. Stirred up dust. My pulse quickened. Letter. From 68. Summer I worked the docks. He wrote after I left. Said I ran scared from what we had. Dad's voice dropped, eyes distant. Wasn't just friends, Alex. We experimented. Young, dumb. Buried it when I came home, met your mom. But seeing your stuff? It unearthed him. Made me wonder if I shortchanged myself. The admission hung, seismic. Dad Brian Caldwell, pillar of stoicism, bisexual? Or gay, closeted deep? You loved him. Maybe. Or maybe it was the freedom of it. Point is, I get the hiding now. More than you know. He squeezed my arm, exiting with a nod. Alone, I processed. Layers peeling back, revealing not judgment, but shared shadows. I called Kevin my Kevin, spilling the revelation in hushed tones. He laughed, soft. Your dad's got layers. Like you. Come over tomorrow? I've got a surprise. The surprise was a canvas, unveiled in his studio. Us on the pier, dawn light gilding our faces, titled Uncharted Depths. For your room, he said, shy. A reminder. We're in this together. We made love slow that afternoon. Sunlight slanting through grimy panes, bodies moving in syncopated grace. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced my collarbone. Ever think about telling your dad about us? The real us? Someday, I thought, but the seed of doubt from Liam's warning sprouted. Betrayal lurking. Little did I know it was closer than the salt on my skin. The week escalated. Tyler's taunts turned physical. A shove in the lot, my book scattering. I fought back, fist connecting with his jaw, detention for both. Dad picked me up, face thunderous, but instead of lecture, he bought me a milkshake at the drive-in. Stands to reason you'd defend yourself. Just smart about it. Home. Mom fussed over a split knuckle, her worry lines deepening. This town's poison sometimes. Remember your Uncle Ray? He left for the same reasons. Uncle Ray, Dad's older brother, the wild one who'd vanished to San Francisco in '75, sending postcards of Golden Gate fog until they stopped. What reasons? I asked, bandaging fresh. Dad, eavesdropping from the hall, answered. Ray was, like you, loved men, fought it, drank it down. One day gone. We figured overdose, but no body. C took him, maybe. His voice cracked. I blamed myself. If I'd listened. The pieces clicked. Dad's silences. His aversion to city ways. Ray's ghost haunted us. A cautionary specter. That night, I scoured old photos in the attic. Dad and Ray, young and grinning on the docks. A faded snapshot of Dad with a dark-haired man. Kevin? Arms slung casual, eyes intense. Sleep evaded, replaced by resolve. I texted Tyler an apology, not for being me, but for the fight. Then drafted a coming-out post for the school forum, anonymous but bold. Kevin cheered me on revolutionary. Friday brought storm clouds, literal and not. At the harbor, Dad pulled me aside. Got a call from the principal. About the scrap. And rumors. His jaw set. You tellin' folks? Not yet. But I will. On my terms. He nodded slow. Fair. Just know. I'm with you. The words, simple, sealed something. We worked side by side, hauling pots, the rhythm meditative. For a moment, father-son, uncomplicated. But complication brewed. That evening, Kevin called, voice-edged. Liam's been weird. Asking about you. Says he knows your dad from stories, old Portland scene. Coincidence? Or the hook setting? I brushed it off, but unease coiled. Dinner was lively. Mom's lasagna, stories of Dad's youth. But Dad's phone buzzed insistent. He stepped out, returning ashen. Trouble at the co-op, vandalism. Traps cut. Suspicion flickered. Tyler's crew? or deeper malice? Bed found me restless, dreams of sinking ships and severed lines. Saturday dawned gray, the storm breaking in sheets. Kevin and I hunkered in his studio, painting me clumsy with brushes, him guiding my hand, laughter cutting tension. To us, he toasted with cheap wine, clinking mugs. To truths, I echoed. But as thunder rumbled, so did the first crack of betrayal. A knock at the door. Liam, soaked, eyes wild. Alex, you gotta hear this. Your dad's not who you think. Liam's words sliced through the studio's warmth like a nor'easter gale, the door banging shut behind him as rain lashed the windows. Kevin stiffened beside me on the futon, paintbrush dripping cerulean onto the dropcloth, his jaw tightening in that familiar protective line. Liam, what the fuck? We talked about boundaries. But Liam, water pooling at his boots, ignored him, eyes locked on mine, dark, urgent, laced with something sharper than concern. It's about Brian Caldwell. Your dad. I didn't connect it at first, but Kevin mentioned the name and... Shit. Alex, you need to know before it blows up. My pulse thundered, louder than the downpour. The attic photo flashed, Dad's arm around that stranger, the unnamed Kevin. No what? I stood, wiping paint-smeared hands on my jeans, the air thick with turpentine and trepidation. Liam glanced at Kevin, who nodded curtly, old wounds be damned. My uncle was in Portland back in '68. Ran a bar off the wharves, the kind where sailors and artists mixed after dark. He told stories about a Maine kid, fresh off the boat, Brian. Cocky lobsterman's son, all muscle and bravado, but eyes that begged for more. Fell hard for a local painter named Kevin O'Malley. My uncle said they were electric. Stole away to the islands, made promises under the stars. Then Brian ghosted. Left a note. Can't do this. Family expects different. Broke O'Malley clean. The room spun, colors bleeding like wet canvas. Dad's letter, the one he'd unearthed, you ran scared from what we had. Fit, jagged and perfect. And, pressed voice a rasp. What does that have to do with now? Liam's laugh was bitter. Rain-streaked hair curtaining his face. O'Malley's alive. Runs a gallery in Camden now. Heard your dad's back in town. Stirring old ghosts. Uncle says O'Malley wants payback. Expose the hero who left him gutted. And get this, he's got proof. Photos, letters. Even claims Brian knew about Ray's situation. Pushed him out. Maybe to keep the family straight. Kevin exploded. Bullshit, Liam. You're spinning drama for attention. Again. He stepped between us, shoulders squared. Alex is dealing enough without your soap opera. But doubt wormed in, cold and insistent. Dad's silences, his sudden openness. Guilt? Or fear of his own unraveling? Photos? I echoed. Of what? Liam pulled out his phone, scrolling to a grainy scan. Two young men on a rocky beach, arms entwined, faces blurred by time but unmistakable. Dad, younger, softer, kissing a man with Kevin's jawline. My stomach lurched. Where'd you get this? From O'Malley. Met him last month at an opening, mentioned your boyfriend's name, and boom. He's gunning for a tell-all, local mag style. The closeted fisherman's son. Poetic justice, he calls it. Kevin snatched the phone, deleting the image with a swipe, but the damage etched permanent. Out, Liam. Now. His voice brooked no argument, ushering his ex into the storm. Alone, he turned to me, face etched with apology. He's full of shit half the time. Jealous streak a mile wide. Don't let it. But I was already grabbing my jacket. I need air. To think. The door slammed behind me. Rain soaking through in seconds, mirroring the deluge inside. I ran to the truck, engine roaring to life, tires hydroplaning toward home. Dad's secret, if true, wasn't just his. It rewrote mine. Our fragile bridge now a minefield. The drive was a blur of wipers slapping rhythm, mind replaying fragments. Dad's gruff, love you. The attic letter, Ray's vanishing. Betrayal? From Dad? The man who'd just started seeing me? Or from Liam, stirring pots for kicks? By the time I skidded into the drive, Mud flinging. The house lights glowed accusatory. Mom met me at the door, towel in hand. Lord, child, you're drowned. Where's Dad? I interrupted, dripping on the rug. Shed. Storm damaged the dock. He's out fixing. Her eyes narrowed, maternal radar pinging. Alex, talk to me. Later. I bolted through the kitchen, grabbing Dad's spare rain slicker, the one smelling of pipe tobacco and brine. Outside, wind howled, waves battering the shore like furies. The path to the dock was treacherous, slick rocks gleaming, but I pushed on, flashlight beam cutting fog. I found him at the end, silhouette bent over splintered planking, hammer swinging with grim determination. Dad! I yelled over the gale. He straightened, surprise flickering. Alex? Get inside. It's nasty out. No. We talk. Now. The words tumbled, fueled by adrenaline and hurt. About Portland. 68. Kevin O'Malley. The hammer slipped from his grip, clanging into the surf. His face drained of color, slicker hood-shadowing eyes gone ancient. How? Doesn't matter. Is it true? You loved him? Left him? And Ray? Did you push him away too? To keep up appearances? Silence stretched, broken only by crashing waves. Then, a sigh like exhalation of long-held breath. Come inside. Can't do this in the squall. We retreated to the shed, lantern casting jittery shadows on coiled ropes and tools. Dad shrugged off his slicker, movements deliberate, old. He sank onto a crate, gesturing me opposite. Sit. Yeah, it's true. All of it. The confession poured then, halting at first, then steady as tide. Summer 68. 18. Restless. Escaping Ellsworth's nets for Portland's pulse. The docks teemed with dreamers. Sailors, poets, men like him, hungry for more than salt cod. Kevin O'Malley, 22, charcoal artist with a laugh that lit fog, spotted him hauling crates. Saw me, really saw, Dad said, voice rough. We talked art, life, things I never voiced. Nights, we'd sneak to the islands, Casco Bay lapping our secrets. First time I kissed a man. Felt right. Like coming home. But you left. Accusation laced my tone, mirroring the hurt O'Malley must have carried. Dad nodded, eyes on knotted hands. Ray found out. My brother, your uncle, was wrestling his own demons. Loved a fella from the cannery. Kept it hid. When he confronted me, what'll ma say? Paul disown us. It hit. Pa was old school Bible thumper. Panicked. Wrote O'Malley that note, ran back to Maine. Married your mom quick. Sweet girl. Understood my silences. Buried it deep. And Ray? The question burned. After I left Portland, Ray spiraled. Booze, fights. Came to me once, begging to run to Frisco with his love. I told him to man up. Fight it. Family first. Dad's voice cracked. He vanished weeks later. Body never found, but I know. My words pushed him under. That's the truth no one expected. Not even me, till your videos cracked the dam. Tears mixed with rain on my face. Not anger but sorrow. For him, for Ray, for the boy he'd been. Why hide it? All these years. Fear, son. Of losing you, Mom, the life I built. But seeing you face it head on? Braver than I ever was. He reached across, clasping my forearm. I'm sorry. For the hiding. For Ray. Won't let history repeat. We sat there, storm raging outside. A quiet understanding blooming. Father to son, both adrift but anchoring each other. What about O'Malley now? I asked finally. He wants to expose you. Dad's laugh was wry. Let him. I'm done running. Maybe it's time the town knew their lobstermen's got layers. I left the shed lighter, the weight shared. Mom brewed tea when I stumbled in, sensing the shift. All right? She asked, hugging tight. Yeah, more than. Bed called, but sleep dodged. I texted Kevin. Talked to Dad. It's complicated but real. Miss you. His reply, proud. Come tomorrow? Morning brought clearing skies. A rainbow arching over the bay like benediction. Kevin's studio welcomed me with open arms. Literally, his kiss fierce and forgiving. Liam's out of line, he said over coffee. But if it's true, your dad's human. Like us. We spent the day wandering Portland, hand in hand, bold in the city's anonymity. Lunch at a harborside cafe, where buskers strummed folk tunes of lost loves. Ever think about coming out fully? Kevin asked, feeding me a fry. Working on it. With you. Our eyes met, promise electric. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. That evening, driving home, my phone lit with a text from unknown. Ask your dad about the night Ray disappeared. He knows more than he says. Attached, a scanned police report, yellowed, Uncle Ray's missing persons file, noting a family dispute hours before. Heart sinking, I confronted Dad in the kitchen. Report thrust forward. What really happened? His face crumpled. God, Alex, I was there. Ray came home drunk, ranting about leaving. We fought words, not fists. I grabbed his arm hard to stop him packing. He shoved free, stormed out into the night. Storm like tonight's. Next morning, boat missing. They figured suicide. You think he, because of you. No, but I blamed myself. Told no one the fight. Tears tracked his weathered cheeks. Forgive me. Pulled him into a hug. Fierce. Nothing to forgive. We're past it. The week wove fragile peace. Dad and I mending more than traps, sharing stories by the fire. His Portland nights, my Kevin dreams. Mom baked, content. But the report's sender gnawed. Who? Liam? O'Malley? Climax brewed at the annual Harvest Festival. Bonfire crackling on the common, fiddles wailing. Dad, loosened by ale, danced with Mom, his laugh rare and bright. Kevin arrived late, slipping beside me in the shadows, hand warm on my back. This you? He whispered, nodding to the revelry. Ours. We kissed, hidden by night, firelight gilding us. Then, spotlight. A stranger at the mic, silver-haired, artist's poise. Kevin O'Malley. Evening, Ellsworth. I'm here for a reckoning. Eyes on Dad, voice amplified. Brian Caldwell owes me a story, and you all deserve to hear it. Gasps rippled. Dad paled, but stood, Mom clutching his arm. I froze, Kevin's grip tightening. Betrayal unveiled, public and raw. The family truth exploding like the bonfire's sparks. The bonfire's roar seemed to hush as O'Malley's voice cut through the crisp night air. The Harvest Festival's joy curdling into stunned murmurs. Lanterns strung between maples swayed like pendulums, casting flickering judgments on the crowd. Neighbors in flannel and boots, kids clutching cider cups, fiddlers frozen mid-bow. O'Malley stood tall on the makeshift stage, salt and pepper hair windswept, his gallery chic scarf absurd against our flannel backdrop. In his hand, a manila envelope, thick with ghosts. Brian, he called again, eyes locking on Dad across the green. 57 years. You gonna make me tell it alone? Dad's face was a mask of granite cracking, jaw set, but knuckles white on Mom's hand. The crowd parted as he moved forward, Mom trailing, me and Kevin in his wake like ducklings to storm. Whispers swelled. What's this? Caldwell drama? Tyler Reese smirked from the sidelines, phone raised, live streaming the unravel. I grabbed Dad's arm. Don't. We can walk away. No, son. His voice steady, eyes reflecting flames. Time to face the tide. He mounted the steps, O'Malley stepping aside. Not enemy, but equal in this duel of decades. The mic screeched feedback, then cleared. Folks, Dad began, voice gravel over speakers. This man's got a right to his anger. Back in '68, I was a scared kid from these shores. Went to Portland seeking something. Found it in Kevin here. Murmurs peaked, but he pressed on. We loved, fierce, foolish. But I ran. Left him broken, came home to play the part. Husband, father, fisherman. Buried that boy deep. O'Malley's nod was curt. Envelope clutched tighter. And my pain? The nights I waited for your boat that never came? You owe them the full tale, Brian. About Ray. The name dropped like an anchor. Crowd hushed. I felt Kevin's hand in mine, anchoring me. Dad swallowed, glancing at me. Apology in his eyes, then spoke. Ray, my brother. He had his truths too. Loved a man, hid it like I did. We fought the night he left. Me telling him to stay, fight the whispers. He stormed out into a gale. Boat gone by dawn. They called it lost at sea, but I know my words were the shove. Gasps. A woman sobbed, Mrs. Ellis, who'd known Ray. O'Malley opened the envelope, pulling photos. Dad and him young and entwined. Ray with a shadowy figure smiles defiant. And this. O'Malley held up a letter, Ray's scrawl. Your brother's last words to me. Forwarded after he vanished. Tell Brian not to run like I did. Love wins even in the deep. He knew your secret, Brian. Protected it. Died for it, maybe. Lies? No. The pain in O'Malley's voice rang true, raw as an open wound. Dad staggered, hand to Mike for support. I didn't know. Tears now unashamed. Christ, Ray, forgive me. The crowd shifted. Pity? Shock. A smattering of claps. Tyler's stream buzzed notifications. Ellsworth secrets trending local. Mom climbed up, wrapping Dad in her arms, her whisper audible. Enough, Kevin. Let it rest. But O'Malley wasn't done. Eyes on me softening. And you, boy Alex? Brian spit. I see the fear in you, the fire. Don't run like we did. He thrust the envelope at Dad. Keep these. Remember. Dad took it, nodding. I will. Thank you for coming. For truth. They clasped hands, brief, electric. Enemies to echoes of what was. The stage cleared to awkward applause. Fiddles resuming tentative. But the night fractured. Friends averted eyes. Harlan muttering, shame on the family. Tyler approached. Smirk gone. Mumbling sorry man before slinking off. Kevin pulled me aside. By the cooling bonfire. That was intense. You okay? Numb. Embers popped, mirroring my chest. Dad just bared his soul. For me. And Ray's memory. Kevin's hug was fierce. Chin on my head. Human as hell. Home was silent drive. Stars pricking the cleared sky. Mom broke it. Proud of you, Brian. Both my boys. Dad reached back, squeezing my knee. Inside he poured whiskey 3 glasses. To Ray. To Kevin's past and present. We toasted the burn cleansing. But fallout crashed next day. Church pews emptied around us. Co-op whispers turned cold shoulders. Dad's traps came back cut again, vandalism or spite. Work dried. Folks canceled orders, citing complications. I faced school hell, graffiti on my locker, fairy sun. Teachers feigning ignorance. Kevin's support was rock, daily drives, studio escapes, but strain showed. Liam's gloating, he confessed one night, says he tipped O'Malley. For justice. Betrayal confirmed. I confronted Liam at a coffee shop, Kevin at my side. Why? To hurt me? Us? Liam's eyes darted, coffee steaming untouched. Not you, Brian. O'Malley reached out months ago, asking about Caldwell's. I connected dots, thought it cathartic. Didn't expect the festival bomb. Cathartic. Kevin's voice ice. You weaponized pain. We're done. Friends, everything. Liam deflated. Sorry. Jealousy, maybe. You too. Glow. I wanted that spark back. Forgiveness flickered, but trust charred. Stay away, I said, leaving him to his latte and loneliness. Climax peaked midweek. Dad's boat, the sea truth, rammed in harbor. Hull breached, lines severed. Sheriff called it accident, but we knew malice. Dad stood on the dock, surveying damage, rain starting anew. Can't take much more, he admitted, voice hollow. Maybe sell up. Start fresh. No, the word burst from me. This is home. We fight. He eyed me, pride flickering. Like Ray should've. We dove into repairs side by side, me learning knots, him teaching patience. Mom rallied. Bake sales for funds, calls to old allies. Kevin painted a mural on the shed. Waves cradling two figures, one guiding the other. Tribute to lost loves. But the deepest cut came Friday. Anonymous email to Dad. Leave town or Ray's full story drops. Suicide note blaming you. Attached. Forged? Ray's handwriting, accusing Dad of outing him to Pa. Driving the despair. Dad crumpled, whiskey bottle shattering. It's over. I killed him. You didn't. I snatched the laptop, forwarding to tech-savvy Kevin. Forensic, it's fake. Pixels wrong. Analysis confirmed. Recent forgery traced to Tyler's IP. Revenge for the fight, amplified by festival drama. Sheriff hauled him in. Under pressure, Tyler cracked, implicating cronies. Justice, small-town style. Relief flooded, but scars lingered. Dad burned the forgeries that night, ashes to the sea. No more hiding, he vowed. I'm by, folks. Deal with it. A sign on the co-op door. Caldwell Lobster, fresh as our truths. Town thawed slow. A tentative order here, a church invite there. Mom's pies bridged gaps. My locker cleaned. Kevin and I grew roots. First, I love you, whispered on the pier, dawn breaking like promise. Yet humanism's core, forgiveness. Dad reached O'Malley, phone call, then visit to Camden Gallery. They talked hours, tears and laughs, closing the circle. He forgave me, Dad reported lighter. Said Ray did too in spirit. Ray's truth. A box arrived, forwarded from Frisco. His love's heir. Letters, photos. Ray thriving in the Castro. AIDS taking him 92. But happy. Tell Brian. Live free. The note read. Dad wept, then framed a photo. Ray grinning, arm around his man. To the brother I lost, and found. November's chill settled over Ellsworth like a benediction. Stripping trees bare but gilding the bay in silvered calm. The sea truth mended. She bobbed resilient. First catch bountiful. Pots heavy with blues. Dad's grin cracking wide as he hauled them dockside. Luck's turning, he said. Clapping my back, salt crusting our boots. Mom's kitchen steamed with chowder pots. Neighbors trickling in. Not all, but enough. Harlan with a gruff good work, boy. Mrs. Ellis pressing pie into my hands, whispering Ray'd be proud. School normalized. Graffiti's ghost faded under fresh paint. Tyler's suspension stretched. His apology note, scrawled in detention, was scared. Sorry for the hate. I replied neutral. Forgiveness a process, not event. But kept walking tall, Kevin's hand brushing mine in shadowed halls. Our love deepened, roots tangling. Weekends, we'd escape to Acadia trails, boots crunching frost-kissed leaves, breath clouding as we crested Cadillac Mountain. There, above it all, Kevin would sketch. Me against granite, wind-sculpted, titled steadfast. You're my north, he'd say, tucking the pad away for a kiss that tasted of pine and forever. Nights in his studio evolved. Less frantic passion, more tender exploration. Fingers mapping scars, both seen and unseen. Love you, I'd murmur into his neck. The words now habit wholly. Dad's transformation anchored us. No longer the silent sentinel, he shared stories freely. Portland's hidden bars, Ray's mischievous pranks, even O'Malley's art shows, attended now with Mom's arm looped in his. Turns out, she's known since the wedding. He confessed one fireside evening, embers popping. Guessed from my letters. Loved me anyway, whole mess. Mom smiled, feet tucked under. Love's not neat sugar. It's the tide. Comes and goes, but always returns. Her humanism, quiet force, wove our frayed edges. Betrayal's echoes faded, but lessons lingered. Liam resurfaced, penitent email, then coffee meet. I fucked up, he admitted. Eyes downcast over black brew. Jealousy blinded. But seeing you all heal? Wish I'd chosen different. Kevin mediated. Boundaries redrawn. Acquaintances, not intimates. Forgiveness granted. Cautious, humanity's grace. Extended, not earned. The true climax, subtle now, unfolded Christmas Eve. Town thawed fully. Carolers at our door, bearing wreaths and well wishes. Dad strung lights on the dock, illuminating buoys like stars. Inside, tree aglow, we gathered, Mom's luminaria flickering, hot toddies steaming. Kevin arrived, gift-wrapped canvas under arm. The pier portrait, framed. "For the family," he said, shy amid our nods. Dad unwrapped his. A restored photo of him and O'Malley, colors vivid. "From Kevin Sr., he explained, hanging it beside Ray's. "To remember. Love's not loss, but legacy." We sang off-key, laughter bubbling, then stepped out to the pier. Snow-dusted waves, hush profound. Dad raised a mug. "To truths unearthed, and the boys who carry them." Glasses clinked, cold air sharpening joy. Kevin's arm around me, Dad's nod approving, circle complete. No tragedy's final curtain, but humanism's quiet triumph. Broken things mended, not perfect, but whole. Yet depth demanded shadow. New Year's, a letter from O'Malley. "Healing's a harbor, Brian. Anchor here." Enclosed, Ray's final postcard, Frisco's rainbow, "Brother. Find yours." Dad pinned it to the fridge, a beacon. Spring bloomed, forgiveness full. Dad's catch sold out. Co-op banner. Caldwell's, out and proud. I graduated valedictorian. Speech weaving secrets to strength. Truth isn't a storm. It's the light after. Applause thundered. Kevin's whoop loudest. College loomed, humane for me, art school Portland for him. Distance. I fretted one last dune walk. "Bridges," he countered, sand shifting. "We'll build them." Summer's end. Dad pulled me aside on the dock. Sun dipping gold. "Proud, Alex, of the man you're becoming." Like Ray wished. His hug, bear strong, sealed it. As waves lapped eternal, I texted Kevin. "Ready for the deep." Reply, "Dive in." Together. The family truth. Once buried. Now breathed, human, flawed, luminous. In America's ragged heart, where coasts meet souls, we learned. Love unearths, but grace rebuilds. And in that, we found our unexpected home.